You're listening to Co-op Radio, 100.5 FM and coopradio.org. It's 5 o'clock, and it's Metis Matters Radio time!
Expressed and opinions given by the individual host, myself, Derrick Whiteskycloud, and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of the CFRO 100.5 FM, your cooperative radio network, and its affiliates and or sponsors. How you guys all doing out there? Welcome to Metis Matters Radio and the CFRO 100.5 FM. I'm here in my studio, and I'm still working on my new setup here up on YouTube. And yeah, it's going. It's just ongoing. I'm still having some fun. I get to play the games here, folks, and it's kind of cool. So we are here. Thank you for being part of this program. And also, we are located, those of you who actually may not know, Metis Matters Radio, or where I am located originally, when I go to the studio in Vancouver, when we don't have the COVID, I'm actually down in Vancouver. It's up off of Columbia and downtown. I've been trying so hard to get this whole show going. So anyways, we're downtown. And yeah, normally I go there Wednesdays at 5 o'clock, 5 to 6 o'clock, and I have our good friend with us, and yeah, Mark is with me when he's actually with me producing. But it's been over a year now. Wow, it's crazy. It's been over a year since Mark has been in the studio with me. But because I get to hear his voice introducing the program, which is wonderful, because at least I get to hear something from him. And normally when he's in the chat room, if we're doing Facebook, he normally cuts in and says, "Oh, your show is on at the same time we're doing this. It's just strange and crazy why it's, two shows are combining." Well, number one, I pre-record all my shows. And the reason why I pre-record all my shows is because I just do. I could actually do live on location, but never really thought about doing it. And so I just don't give myself the time. So I figure, well, for as long as I pre-record and having to reach out to more people, this is one of my dreams and goals was actually trying to reach out to people all across Turtle Island, all across Canada, as well as across the world. Because Metis Matters actually has been started since 1989 with the late Ken Fisher, who actually was the original host. And, and this show has been going on for well over, I would say, since 1989. I think it's 30 some odd years. And I've been doing this for a little over 3 now. And I really do enjoy what I do for the people and for everyone out there. I'm not here to judge who's Métis and who's not. That's not my job. My job here is to host a show and to share what's going on all across Canada. And yet you'll always once in a while have a community, Métis organizations or organization, whomever, from the west to the east, and they're always in conflict by some means. And most of the time, I mean, I can always just say Manitoba is always one of the most common attackers, so to speak, to the rest of the Métis. I mean, unless you're, and there are some people, I mean, like I said, there's always this, and then there's Métis National Council, they're always attacking other people to the east. I mean, these guys, you guys need to get over this, really. I mean, I remember when the BC Métis Federation had their conflict with the MNBC, with Métis Nation of BC, which our good friend and president of the BC Métis Federation, Keith Henry, was one of the board members of the MNBC, but because of their, I'm not sure basic conflict of sorts, and I guess Keith didn't like their politics in a way that was too judgmental. So, and there are quite a few others actually were members of the MNBC, and they decided to leave. And I don't blame them. I really don't blame them leaving, because it come to the point that it was too much. And so I guess it's been a little over 10 years, a 10-year anniversary. And the BC Métis Federation, they created the word BC Métis Federation and decided to make it happen. And it's been gone for 10 years. Now, BC Métis Federation has been very successful. Apparently, what I understand, I think there's about 3,200 or so members of the organization. So, again, like I tell people too, if you have your history, and if you want to become a member of the organization, you can always fill out the forms, contact the BC Métis Federation if you want to be part of their group, part of the organization. The guys are really wonderful because we are more into the culture sense of it. We're not politically attacking. That's not what our job is. We like to help the community all across Canada, because there are people that actually will travel or have moved from the East Coast and come up this way and filled out their membership card and become a citizen of the Métis organization. And myself, I mean, I'm with the Michif Historic and Culture Preservation Society. I talk about Métis history. We talk everything from not just Louis Riel, but also do with history and culture, because that's what my job is talking about history and culture. And I've been with the BC Métis, I've been friends of BC Métis Federation for I would say 10 years too, just when they began. And I was with another organization, another Métis organization before that. But I'm also the culture director of Michif Métis Museum, which is we are a Métis museum. I'm out with the community. I'm sure a lot of our listeners know, but and some of the new listeners have joined us. Yes, I do a lot of events in schools, and also at events that are international events. I've been involved with European festivals for many years. I was asked to come on board to be part of it, and we proudly wave our flag as well as our history, because a lot of people will say to us, who are the Métis and what country are you from? They want to know what country the Métis are from. Well, we're from here, but a lot of the people, when you go to European festivals, they think we're a country. So they're looking for a country. And, you laugh at that. I mean, you can't blame them for making or being judgmental. They just don't know. So that's what we try and do. We try to let the people know what's going on. And we do enjoy meeting, greeting people. and sharing our history with them. And throughout the years, we've been involved with the Fusion Festival, which I myself, back in the year 2000, I was one of the very original people that started a multicultural festival in the Surrey Delta region back in 2000. That's 2021 now. So over 21 years ago, my wife and I put one together. We decided to, I had a dream about it, and I wanted to bring in different cultures and musicians and entertainment, plus all our exhibitors and vendors, and have them come in, and the public get to see, that we all need to work together and to get along, because there are people in governments and other groups that like to separate us and keep us from talking to each other, or, again, a racial issue. And this is not what we're trying to be here for. Our job is not to create a racial divide. When I helped create that multicultural event. So, and the interesting part was when the city of Surrey, as well as other organizations, seen what I had done, they were absolutely enthused, and they said, "Derrick, this is a great idea. Would you be interested in being part of this group with us? And we want to put something on with the city." And I said, "Yeah, great idea. Let's do it." I was invited in to talk to them about it, and I sat in the board meeting once, never heard from them since. And then someone else later came on board, and then he decided they called him up and said, "Well, let's do this." But I guess through the years, later on through the years, the Fusion Festival that they created, the name Fusion Festival, and it became a multicultural festival, which, again, that's a dream of my own, that I wanted everybody to get along and having to share their history, their culture, what country they're from. And that's basically what my dream was, to bring everybody together. So I was very pleased and happy about it. And so then later on through the years, when the Fusion Festival began, and then they asked the Friendship Center, Surrey Friendship Center, if they want to come on board, be part of the organization, or be part and set up an area. So it's not just a multicultural countries, but also an area we can do powwows at the far end of the field, where they were holding it in Holland Park. And I guess there's a little bit of we tried to hold that sort of type of an event for the public, but because there's alcohol served at this event, it's just some conflict in it. So down the road, the powwows didn't work. It's wonderful to share your powwow dancing and sharing to the public, but when we do our traditional events, if you got a powwow, there's no alcohol involved, there's no drugs involved. Basically, it's an alcohol and drug-free zone. But because of all that that's happening, and it's outdoors, so we had to, I guess a lot of the elders didn't like it, so they decided to dismantle that. And a year went by, and then I got a call, and I said to the Fusion Festival people, I said, "Look, I'm a Métis, and I would like to have a booth, a Métis booth." And they said, "Well, if you want a Métis booth, you have to be part of an organization, part of a group." So basically, if you're part of an organization, then we'll welcome you in. So the first year, what they did for me, because of my interest and want to be part of it, they asked me if I can participate with Canada, the country of Canada, and I said, "Sure, I can do that." So that year, it was just me alone representing the Métis, because the Métis were considered trappers and entrepreneurs, and their voyageurs and that sort of thing. So I was sharing a bit of our Métis history, plus I was selling my crafts there, and it became a hit. It became, I guess, that idea went further, because when the city had seen what I had done, they said, "Would you be interested in? We would like to have you part of our group, and we would give you have your own tent." And I said, "Great." So that's what we did. So the next following year, I contacted Keith Henry, and he spoke to the board, his group, and he said, "Let's do this." So we both worked together. So the Michif Historic and Cultural Preservation Society, as well as the BC Métis Federation, as well as the NOVA, which was Ken Fisher and another Métis organization, the three of us combined together in one tent. And it worked. Because we're basically from the Surrey region, the rest of the BC region, through the BC Métis Federation, and again with the Metis Historic and Cultural Preservation Society, the Métis Museum, it worked well. And then to get to sell our wares there, and also promote the organization. So basically people would have shirts and hats for sale and promoting. And if there's anybody that's new that's in the community that doesn't have their Métis citizenship and maybe of interest, and they're living in the community, we welcome them. And so, again, they would register there, and then Ken or myself or Keith or whoever volunteer was with us. And then we also had our Métis jiggers. We had other people that come and join us. So we were entertaining the public just in front of our tent, as well as they also had 6 stages so you can entertain. And the thing is that our music stages and our performances, so you can either register to become a performer, dancing or singing, or storytelling. So then they would have that set up ahead of time. So basically that would be on the program. So in time we became a tented Métis group, and then later on I asked if I can bring my teepee, and I had a 12-foot teepee set up, so I brought that in. And we set that up next to our tent, and we were pretty well up, almost up front of the Holland Park area, and people could see our teepee. They knew it was a Métis because our sign is up there, Métis. And then from there, and also it's in our language too, so we were saying Tansi, or Tanshi, to the public. So they asked her, because every country has a greeting word in their language, so which was wonderful. So we had that for about, let's say 3-4 years, until they wanted to celebrate Canada Day, or a specific, Canada, celebrating Canada for 150 years. And they asked us if we wanted to participate in the Indigenous section, because basically there was an Indigenous section in the back that they had for a couple of years. And they wanted us to not have this booth, but they wanted to put us in a teepee in the back where we had that whole area. And at first I went, no, I'm not interested. And they said, well, we're going to have to move you there because we're trying to combine all Indigenous groups so we can help celebrate that area. Would you be interested in doing this once? And then if you decide to change your mind, then, you can go back the next year. Well, I said, well, okay, I said to the rest of the guys, I said, we'll give it a shot and see what happens. So that year they gave us a 30-foot teepee, which was wonderful. So you can walk right in. So it's not something you crawl in. It's a big, huge, tall 30-foot teepee. We had lots of room. We did, again, set up. We had a teepee, but there was 3 or 4 teepees set up in the back. There was a live stage. Other vendors that are there, our signage, and then also, because that's what we're trying to do. I had a couple of beaver pelts out front, outside the teepee. So you're getting you're welcoming the people walking in. And there's a sidewalk that's right in front of it, so they can walk right in and see who and what we're all about. Inside the teepee, I had a trading post set up in the back. It looked like a trading post. I had furs hanging up, and people can get they can do cameras, so they can take pictures of themselves as if looks as if they're actually inside of a trading post. It looks wonderful. Then we have our wares we're selling in the museums on the other side, and it was absolutely fantastic. We had music playing. My good friend Eagle Child was there, who also does the silversmithing and playing a native flute. So he's originally from Alberta, from Saddle Lake, but he actually had traveled across the United States as well as Canada, and he was a wonderful fellow, and him and his wife, Myrna. And so they were selling their CDs there, as well as he was entertaining with his flute. We had a great time. And then again, it became, and then I just said, well, you know what? Let's make it an ongoing thing every year, because it was becoming a better thing for all of us, like having to teach Métis history and then how our booth is set up. So I said, well, look, if this is going to be set up every year, then give me full control of it, and I'll make sure it all works well. We had a lot of people coming in, and it ended up becoming successful. And every year we were setting up, I would make more murals to welcome the public in, because we had lots of space. And you could see the historical banners as people coming in, because they had no idea what we're all about, right? I mean, it's unfortunately, the schools are not teaching them like they used to, right? So that's the only thing that I find that's different. But other than that, I would say we've had a wonderful gathering of people coming in, and actually through the 2 days, like it's almost the third week of July when they have the Fusion Festival, which is approximately on the average between 125 to 150,000 people a year on the weekend, just on a Saturday and a Sunday. Like, it's packed. All people from all cultures, from all over. They'll take the SkyTrain in or whatever, and they come from all the communities. I'm talking about every type of people. They come in and it's packed, absolutely packed. Entertainment all through the day from 11 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night. It's phenomenal, right? And so my wife and I we set up a whole bunch of lights inside, make sure, because when the sun goes down, it gets pretty dark inside the teepee. So we have lights all set up inside the teepee. It looks kind of cool looking, lit up in the nighttime. So we were there pretty well almost the last people to leave on the grounds because we were that busy with the public. That's how cool it was. So we're from there, we actually, from there on, we also had, I would say, let's see what else was there to include it. We had, again, we were entertainment. So we were on stage. We have our fiddle. Well, like, for example, one of our entertainers, we have J.J. Levely, and we had the Métis Jiggers. We had Rowan and Quinn Pickering, brother and sister. So they would come on stage and they would dance. They would do jigging and different kinds of dances, Métis dance for the community. We had different kinds of multicultural, or different kinds of indigenous storytellers and other entertainers, as well as other dancers that come in from other parts of Canada as well, from even some of the reserves, and they would entertain us. It was wonderful all through the whole weekend because you could see powwow dancing, people show you display and to show you how they dance and what their purpose is. The public got right into it. I mean, it was huge. It was great. So the thing is that we do have this, and this is something that I've always looked forward to, having to teach Métis history. I've been doing it, like I said, for years, and I'm enjoying it. Having to meet a lot of people that are from all over, and I was actually beginning to actually meet more people that are from actually other parts of Canada that heard about this, and they would travel even long distances from Alberta, Saskatchewan, just to come down for that weekend, just to see our event and also participate. So they were having a great time. It ended up being that, like I said, the Fusion Festival is one of the largest, biggest festivals. And we found out also too, they actually that 1 year after the Canada Day celebration, or celebrating Canada itself, like it's actually his birthday. It's actually Canada birthday, 150 years. That morning we were having the last meeting before we start the whole event. They announced that in Vancouver, or actually the Fusion Festival, was the number one international festival in the world. We were rated number 1. And also what I did enjoy hearing was, yes, our Métis section also won first place 3 times. That was so cool. We've always been, we've won 3 times. Twice or 2 times each year, 1 time each year, I've won, our booth has won. Not me, us. We've won first place 1 year, second place the second year, third place, first place the third year. So we've won, and then again, that's kind of cool because they what they do is, the reason why we win these, because they look for the best booths all out of the international group. But see, what I'm doing, when I come in, I'll every year I'm trying to improve and add more additions to our site to make it even more prominent, to let people know that here's the Métis history. And I would say not this last year, but the year before, because that's when the last time we actually had the physical event, 2019. It was phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. So, and also I had my best friend Del Haggerty down there, who is the curator of our Métis Museum, and had him bring the Red River cart down, and he had a great time. He actually was there again. He was talking, and he was by the cart. He had his display all set up, and he actually was talking to a lot of people through the whole weekend. Dale couldn't believe it. And like he told me after, He was so overwhelming. He's never seen such a huge event before in his life. He thought it was the greatest thing in the world. Like, here's an opportunity that we have been given, and we did it. We absolutely did it. And I was so happy about it, and I was so proud of him and so proud of ourselves that we're able to do all this. So anyways, I wanted to share that with you folks. And I got more to talk about, but what I want to do now is play you guys a song. And we'll be right back here listening to Metis Matters Radio, and I'm your host, Derrick Whiteskycloud. We're back.
Honey!
I really wanted a coffee.
Where are you? You've been there forever.
Come on. You know what? You think you're the boss.
But I'm the boss here. Derrick will be right back after he gets my coffee.
Hi, I'm Gennaro Sullivan.
And I'm Woody Morrison.
Join us every Monday from 1 to 2:30 p.m.
On When Spirit Whispers, a First Nations program.
We cover truth and reconciliation,
Art, music, politics, current and cultural events.
Give us a call, 604-684-7561. Don't forget to join us every Monday from 1 to 2:30 p.m. on When Spirit Whispers.
I'm like a motherless child.
Vancouver, local and not so local music. A music show that tells you where and when you can see and hear live music. With band dates, live musical guests, and a few surprises too. Radio Vancouver, Wednesdays, 3:30 to 5. It doesn't just play music and go home, it's out there, absorbing it. Experience Vancouver on Facebook at facebook.com/Vancouver. Radio Vancouver, Wednesdays, 3:30 to 5 p.m. on Co-op Radio. It's fun!
Vancouver Cooperative Radio is an innovative, non-profit community radio station with a mission to produce creative and engaging programming for communities whose voices are underrepresented in the mainstream media. We need your financial support to help us achieve this mission. By donating today, you will help us to continue providing access to training and equipment for over 300 volunteers who produce 140 hours of original programming in over 10 languages. Since 1975, we've celebrated the rich cultural diversity of the Greater Vancouver area through our arts, music, and spoken word programming. Please support alternative community-based radio. You can donate today by visiting coopradio.org or calling 604-684-8494. That's 604-684-8494.
Hi, I'm Gennaro Sullivan.
And I'm Woody Morrison.
Join us every
to Late Night with Savages every Wednesday from 11 to midnight. Join your host, Valine Jules, and her series of red-blooded radio broadcasters as we enjoy experimental spoken word performances, late-night tea parties, updates from frontline workers, and fresh poetic and musical savagery. Tune in as we decolonize the airwaves every Wednesday from 11 to midnight. Late Night with Savages on Vancouver Co-op Radio.
we're back. Thank you guys for joining us on Metis Matters Radio with CFRO 100.5 FM. I'm your host, Derrick Whiteskycloud. Yes, and also, I want to share with you guys, funny, someone actually wrote something in the Facebook, and they're asking what's the difference between, they're saying, I'll do the Metis. They'll say, what's the difference between oral history and family lore? Well, family lore means passing on the true history of your family. We're a Metis family. The oral history means you're talking out of your rear end. I love it. That's kind of funny. Anyways, I thought you guys would like that one. Anyway, so I want to talk about also too. We have a lot of great things happening upcoming this summer. The folks also we're having our Indigenous summer, and there'll be all kinds of events happening. I'm hoping it's not online. I'm hoping that this whole thing's going to be over, that we'll have more freedom to gather together. Because what I understand, and I will say the word understand, what I've been informed, that it's possible that by June we'll have a lot more freedom and gather together. I don't think there'll be any more 6 foot apart. I'm hoping, and no masks. So I'm hoping that this whole thing is going to be over soon. My God, burp at the same time. Over soon, sooner than we expect it to. So we'll see what happens. I'm just going to pray and hope each day. So, because I love working out of my studio, but it gets to be, I love to travel. I want to travel again. I'm getting a hot foot. You know what I mean? We have a book here, and it's one of the books that I really enjoy reading, and this is selected poetry of Louis Riel. I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen this before, but this is one of his books. And it's a really wonderful book to read, and I've had this one for, oh my God, how many years? So Louis Riel is a compelling leader of Métis he was hanged by Sir John A. Macdonald, and the government in 1885 sits at the core of Canadian national imagination. But among partisans, he is either they call poltroon or prophet, politically adept or an inept fool. He was a visionary and a very interesting poet, full of rancor and tenderness, self-pity, dignity. This is the first selection of his poetry to be published in both French and English. Now this one, actually, the book itself was edited by Glenn Campbell, not the one you think is a singer. No, it's not Glenn Campbell, but translated by Paul Savoie. And I love reading his poetry. I think these are writings of Louis Riel when he was in prison, and some of his pieces before he was in prison. And so they accumulated them up and started to use them more often or share them. And I thought it was kind of interesting because the one I wanted to read about is this one called The French Canadian Métis. With unstinting love, I give praise to French Canadian Métis, a young people whose yesterdays are now alive as history. Their eyes have seen the glory against the Minnesota bands, and they've only tasted victory against the Dakota clans. Flowers strewn across prairie beds or on northwestern mountain shields, remembering incline their heads and tell their story to the fields. The cart paths that proliferate around the town of Regina serve as reminders of roads laid reaching deep into Montana. Their humble, friendly habitat has served as refuge for strangers. Their proven valor in combat has warded off many dangers. Peace-loving, never ill-bred warrior blood runs into their veins, and let them by the laurier be led. They'll be freesome on the plains. Manitoba, still a sapling, diddled by deft hands and firm ground, with a sacerdotal nurturing, its taproot is secure and sound. The church teaches precious lessons, ruler of everything on earth, taking her cue from the heavens, creating works of stellar worth. The Métis speak of values needed, of virtues too long disallowed. Law relinquished and unheeded, whose truth must not be disavowed. As premise for each transaction, natural law's code, its essence, must be used as the foundation for any form of alliance. Above all, cherish rightfulness at all cost, covet this virtue, in showing right for what it is, be simple, guideless, and true. Try to provide by action example to society, where the lawless openly shun the rights that reader people free. Let us abide by the values of man and his natural dale, where many a social virtue not only thrives but prevails. Ideas never blind us, so that we wither and decline. Whether let extravagance bind us, we are here, our truth shall shine. Wherever land sections are sold and we are whittling at our root, we weaken the principles of old and dig deep with their bare solid fruit. Our convictions led us the adore to withstand each aggression, and righteous living is our armor against all evil intentions. Wherever a hyphen is placed between Canadian and Métis, then each of us two races good conjoins in the weighty. The Métis has in abundance virtues that the others lack. In each and every instance, they travel on the same track. A French Canadian understands how power is maintainable, but it's on his behalf that he stands, then opts for what is obtainable. Having seen the conditions of extended Saxon rule, that he has learned his hard lessons and now is no longer fooled. The Dominion ultimately dreams his annihilation, and he lashes out reluctantly, asking leave to keep his station. Each French Canadians require resolve. Malleable must be their metal, if they're to challenge or evolve themselves with the English at all. Only a diplomat can handle and tame the men of Albion, and entice and entangle the unicorn and the lion. A certain stoic quality inherited from the Indians can lead us to the extremity, nonetheless, as a Canadian. Our strategy oft proves unwise by falling back on niceties and resorting thus to compromise. We give advantage to our enemies. Since he's a diagnostic, God has sent from overseas a most effective tonic, a cordial sure to please. A French spirit fortifies us, serving as a potent elixir, through which we will find a syllabus to state our rights without fear. Our rights are ably presented in voices varied and stable, by passionate means defended, procedures we find palatable. The French come from the old country, language steeped in Christian creed, speak of right with great clarity, proclaim it in an imperative screed. The French can act quite fiercely, and they are valiant and courageous even when guarding the eternal city. No wonder they're tempestuous. God has parcelled more zealous strength to the French than other mortals. The French will go to any lengths to show up shaken altars. Well-spoken French has pride of place, and on every level of discourse, helping it to shape any phrase, giving it clarity and force. Its disarming courteousness profits those of gentle nature. It can calm an often redness and redress excess in our behavior. Adorn the French language with alien words that embellish, enriched it will ease, engage, and comfort us with its flourish. Let us lift from the natives' tongues a number of singular sayings, strong images catch words sung, and several local phrasings. Something will have been created in good taste with artful choice, the word bequeathed elevated to strengthen our ancestors' voice. Canadians, alongside Métis, fueled to the French three elements that fuse quite well, an entity increasing by increments. A three-leaf clover's destiny, three-pronged beauty by praxis, lies in its proximity to move as one as its axis. We will attain our unity with the clergy's sure assistance, just as the leaves' identity defines a clover's existence. So the Manitoba nation of French-Canadian Métis waxes with devotion of its priests and their generosity. Yeah, that's the ending of that one. And before I finish, I'm going to do one more. I think it'd be important to do one more. I love reading. Let's see here. Yeah. Where did I put it? I had it in my page. I wanted to share this with you folks. So basically, what Louis, he was quite an interesting person. Some people thought he was crazy. The military thought he was a crazy guy. But he wasn't. He was just a man that was trying to fight for the rights of the people. And everyone would say, I've heard so many people say to me, let's say, Louis Riel was a Métis. But originally, his family came from France in the beginning, and then Montreal, and then from there on, Saskatchewan or Manitoba became the area, right? And then later on down the road, there were many battles. So the thing is, it's not just about Riel, because there actually were a couple other men 100 years previously before Riel, and that actually had trying to fight for the rights of the Métis. So thought I'd share that with you. And we'll talk about that one later on, because there's so many stories to talk about regarding these guys. Let's see here. One more thing I want to share with you before I forget. And we've got... where is it now? I have a story for you folks. Let's see if I can bring it up. And hopefully I can get through there to get it, because online we're getting a lot of slowness in our internet. So we'll see if I can get it out here and share that with you. Okay. Yeah, so basically coming up in June, and I will share that with you folks. In June, let's see, which we call the virtual national, well, not virtual, but it's National Indigenous Peoples Day, and that is celebrated on June 21st. So it normally also, us Métis also celebrate that as well. The FRAFCA, FRAFCA actually is the Surrey Friendship Center, and they're holding it on the Facebook Live there on their page, June the 21st. So if you're interested in wanting to see the event, they will be doing this virtual National Indigenous Peoples Day, and it'll be on Facebook on June the 21st, 2021 at 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Okay, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's fairly, not bad at all. So we've got that one coming up, and so join us on the Surrey's National Indigenous Peoples Day live stream on June 21st for 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. to the 30 a.m. for the kids show. Okay, half an hour for the kids show, and regular programming from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. broadcasted on the FRAFCA Facebook and YouTube Live. Celebrating the rich culture and history of Indigenous peoples in Canada, Surrey's National Indigenous Peoples Day Celebration and Wellness event hosted by the Surrey's local land-based First Nations Semiahmoo, Kwantlen, Katzie First Nations, and brings together the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit families through a celebration of the culture and traditions of Indigenous people. We acknowledge that we are situated on the traditional ancestral and unceded territories on the Salish peoples, including the Semiahmoo, Kwantlen, and Katzie land-based nations. So they'll be coming up soon in June. That's not long from now, folks. You're looking at about maybe 3 weeks. Sort of, I think. 3-4 weeks. 3 weeks, yeah. And if you're interested in wanting to find out how it's going to work out, if you want to know more, say you want to get, and they said the tickets are free. Ha ha ha. You get to see it online, okay? If you want to contact them and want to find out who's going to be there or that sort of thing, you can contact M.A. Butler at surrey.ca. That's M.A. as in Mother Adam Butler at surrey.ca. Okay. Also, we've got, let's see here, and the food. Yeah. Someone says, physical distancing, Métis style. And there's a picture of a buffalo. And the picture says, physical distancing, Métis style, at least a bison apart. Right. Don't stay there. Run. Okay. The Lindsay Advocate has a magazine. It's Kawartha Lake's finest magazine. The Lindsay Advocate is actually did an editorial regarding Mike Perry. Now, Mike Cadeau, I guess it's both, story of a newfound half-breed, they call it. And he says, oh, by the way, we're Métis. Shock, shock. My long-lost sister shouted into the phone last New Year's Eve, taking over the background chatter and clinking of glasses at her house party in Madrid. That got my attention. Early the next morning, I hopped into the Ancestry.ca with a curious spirit and fresh cup of coffee, ready to explore my sister's family tree. And there it was, numbered and everything with some 400 pages of documentation. Verified Métis family line, 7023. My birth father's last name is Cadeau. So, my ancestral grandmother is, now I can say the words, Nigan okay, say this correctly, Nigan Jigak was Anishinaabe, Menominee, the people hailing from what is known today as northern Wisconsin. Her daughter married my great-great-great-grandmother, I believe, grandfather, a fur trader from Quebec in the Red River, Manitoba. The family emigrated via the historic Métis communities at Sault Ste. Marie and Drummond Island to settle in the historic Métis community at the Pentaganouashin in the early 1800s. Now, I have even found a copy of my distant grandfather's fur trading license with the Northwest Company. That's cool. And what is Métis? According to the census, there are some 600,000 Métis people across Canada, including more than 120,000 here in Ontario. Now, this past year, I have been learning a lot more. I've learned that, contrary to the popular misconception, having an Indigenous relative that does not make a person Métis, one must prove with documentation their connection to a root ancestor who was Métis and lived in the historic Métis lands in the Métis way of life. Now, I've also learned that, unlike settlers, the Métis were unique not simply by their marriage to and families with Indigenous people, but in the living highly mobile lives with their own language, Michif, and distinct culture as hunters, trappers, traders, interpreters, and guides. Now, I have learned that while Métis people are counted among the Indigenous peoples of these lands, including in the Canadian Constitution, their rights tie back to the Métis historic existence as a thriving people that existed before Canada became a country. Now, speaking of government, the Métis people already had peaceful government with a constitution that long before the Crown came calling in Manitoba. I must admit it's been overwhelming at times, though oddly familiar. I had a Quebec family flag in my bedroom as a teenager in the Fenelon, Fenelon Falls. I already speak French, and I've gone to powwows and advocated for Indigenous rights for a long time. And my daughter even has her bundle from her first birthday where we smudged. A friend of mine who is Haudenosaunee called it blood memory. I like that term. And great-grandmother was born right here in Lindsay. Life's connections. I keep practicing my French and reading about Métis history and culture, and I want to play the fiddle. And go on the hunt and play Métis games with my kids. And I'm planning a family trip once COVID permits to retrace the steps of our ancestors through the Georgian Bay back to the Red River and the Menominee. For now, I'm just enjoying learning, celebrating the richness of life's surprises, and who knows, I may even get a tattoo. Marcee. So that is a kind of cool story from Mike Perry, Mike Cadeau. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. Anyways, we're going to be going out with a song here, and let's see here. Yeah, let's see. Let's go with that one. Big John McNeil, Dallas Boyer. You guys take care of yourself. Be good to each other. Go out pretending not.